Welcome into the Panthers.com video mailbag presented by CEENTA. Staff writer Max Henson here answering your questions ahead of Carolina's regular season finale against Tampa Bay. We got our first question this week from Bill Driver, who says, who on the roster has the most to gain in the season finale? Well, I'll give you one on offense and one on defense. Start on the offensive side of the ball. I'll go Kelvin Benjamin. Wide receiver, has had an up and down year. It's been a bit of a challenge for him in his first really full season back since that season-ending knee injury he suffered in last year's training camp. And he's had to work through some challenging things this year. And I think the Panthers coaching staff was really impressed with the way he practiced last week and the energy he played with in that game against the Falcons. I would love to see that carry over into this Week 17 matchup against the Buccaneers and end the season on a high note for Kelvin going into the offseason and for what he hopes to be an even better 2017. Defensive side of the ball, I'll go Mario Addison. Defensive end has had a tremendous year rushing the passer from that defensive end spot. He's got 8.5 sacks right now, and if he could get 1.5 more, if he can get himself to 10, to double digits, what an accomplishment that would be for a guy who's really had to fight his way throughout his entire career to keep a spot in this league. Was an undrafted free agent, got his chance in Carolina, and has really made the most of it. When you talk about the most to gain, this guy's in a contract year, so certainly a lot to gain for Mario Addison as he enters the last week of the regular season. Got our next question from Corey Radford, who says, do the Panthers have concerns going forward with Cam as their franchise QB? They don't. They're fully committed to Cam Newton and believe that he is definitely their franchise quarterback despite the struggles this year. Ron Rivera has talked about this year really being a blip in his eyes. And I think not only does he believe that to be the case for this entire team, but for Cam Newton as well. I had a story on the website earlier this week talking about Ron wanting to see this offense evolve and really Cam Newton evolve as a quarterback as well. At this point in his career, we've seen him do some tremendous things, both with his arm and his legs. This season, defenses really had an answer for it, and this offense didn't produce at the level it had in 2015 when Cam was the MVP. I expect him and this team to counter next year, see him have another outstanding season. They fully believe that he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and I think Cam will prove that after what was a tough year this year when we see him on the field in 2017. Our last question from Panthers Drafter, who says, do you think there's a possibility of the Panthers signing Smitty to a one-day contract for him to officially retire here? Yep, and obviously Steve Smith spoke to the media down in Baltimore and said he's 89% sure he's going to retire after this week, which of course is just classic Steve. And for Panther fans, this is always a popular topic, wondering what's going to happen once he does retire. I can't say really an answer to that question right now. I just don't know. But I can tell you what I feel personally, and I would love to see it. I would love to see him back in Carolina, retire a Panther. And if you know Panthers fans, you know how much 89 means to them, and there's a connection that's been built there over time. And of course, Steve, when he played here, just such a tremendous player, all-time leading receiver in franchise history, one of the best receivers in NFL history. And there were so many special moments. And of course, looking into the future, Panther fans very curious to see what happens. Ron Rivera said that he would love to see Steve retire a Panther one day. And so we'll just have to wait and see. But again, for me personally, and for a lot of Panther fans out there, it sure would be nice to see that happen. Well, that's the question this week, everybody. We'll do it again next time, right here on Panthers.com.